Hello, everybody, and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for this Easter season. For the next 6 weeks, we get to live in the glory of Easter, but I'm still recuperating from Holy Week. So there's sometimes things all just sort of come together, you know what I mean? And last week during Holy Week on Wednesday, I was feeling really overwhelmed and feeling like I'm not going to get everything done that has to get done. And, I made a mistake earlier in that week, last week, that then I had to apologize for. And a couple of things I just because of this, my brain doing what it was doing and feeling very um, humbled, and also humiliated in a couple of moments that I don't think other people would have noticed, but they just felt like they were magnified for me. Holy Week does that to me. It's like it puts a magnifying glass on an ant in the sun. It just makes me burn. And I really struggled. But one of the things I thought, I've got this piece of paper on my desk that says, do the next thing. And it's taken from um, the, the Bible study I had been doing by Priscilla Shire during Lent, which I finished up on Passion Sunday. It was a powerful, powerful Bible study to be doing, especially during the season of Lent, about hearing the voice of God. And it was a big thing was do the next thing. Don't worry so much about what's going to happen tomorrow or next week or what just happened that you're burning from that magnifying glass and the sun was on you. But being able to recognize that in this moment you can only do what is the next thing. And then I sat down to do my daily office and my readings, and it was the 1st of April because it was Wednesday. And so it was day one of the month for the readings from here, and then also the April 1st reading. So, and it was like sitting here looking at this note, do the next thing, feeling like Holy Week was killing me, and I had so much to do. And all because it's Holy Week. They're all things you only do once a year, so you don't get really good at them, and if you're an anxious person like I can be, that means you're just wrapped up in knots thinking, okay, what are all the things that could go wrong? What am I going to forget? All the things. So then I read this, day one. This is from Celtic Daily Prayer Book 2, Farther Up and Farther In. And this is written by Anne Morrow Lindbergh. In the present moment, hurry is an unpleasant thing in itself, but also very unpleasant for whoever is around it. Some people came into my room and rushed in and rushed out, and even when they were there, they were not there. They were in the moment ahead or the moment behind. Some people who came in just for a moment were all there, completely in that moment. Live from day to day, not just live from day to day, just from day to day. If you do so, you worry less and live more richly. If you let yourself be absorbed completely, if you surrender completely to the moments as they pass, you live more richly those moments. That's hard to do in a week like Holy Week when the moments you're living in are moments that you feel like you're dreading or that are difficult. But it's important that we acknowledge those moments too, that we not rush through the things that are beautiful, that we are planning for tomorrow and completely miss the beautiful sunset before us or the gift of a child's laughter in that moment with us. But also when we're going through difficult things, to be able to acknowledge that this moment will pass and we will survive, regardless of whether it feels like we won't. We will survive. And there will be something from this moment that we can take with us. And then I read the April, and now in this book they have little longer things for each day, three pieces of scripture, and then each month an author takes something and they talk about it. Other months it's been talking about saints of Wales and things like that. And this one for April is Buechner's ABC, a theologian, Frederick Buechner, who has written a lot about helping the average person understand Christianity and faith and things like this. And in his works, three of his books, Peculiar Treasures, A Biblical Who's Who, Wishful Thinking, A Seeker's ABC, and Whistling in the Dark, A Doubter's Dictionary, he, as the author said, he tries to dust off and put the color back into biblical characters, religious words, and ordinary words, respectively. And so our daily meditations are drawn from these. And so he's doing the ABCs during the month of April. And so the 1st of April, last Wednesday, when I was doing this, reading the reflection, about the Laura Lindbergh, and the do the next thing that I picked up from my Bible study. The A was for Alcoholics Anonymous. This is what he says: nobody lectures them, and they do not lecture each other. They simply tell their own stories with the candor that anonymity makes possible. They tell where they went wrong and how day by day they are trying to go right. They tell where they find strength and understanding and hope to keep trying. Sometimes one of them will take special responsibility for another, to be available at any hour of the day or night if the need arises. There's not much more to it than that, and it seems to be enough. Healing happens. Miracles are made. You can't help thinking that something like this is what the church is meant to be, and maybe once was before it got to be big business. Sinners Anonymous. No matter what far place alcoholics end up in, either in this country or virtually anywhere else, they know that there will be an AA meeting nearby to go to, and that at that meeting they will find strangers who are not strangers to help and to heal, to listen to the truth and to tell it. That is what the body of Christ is all about. Would it ever occur to Christians in a far place to turn to a church nearby in hope of finding the same? Will they find it? If not, you wonder what is so big about the church's business. I really appreciated coming across that piece about Alcoholics Anonymous because it reminded me of that whole do the next thing. Stay in this moment. You do what has to be done next. Don't worry about what you're going to do 10 minutes from now. Don't worry about whether or not you're going to want to drink tomorrow. Think about how you're not going to have a drink today in this moment. How do you get through the next minute, next 5 minutes, next 10 minutes? And that is a lesson I needed to hear for Holy Week. How do I simply turn myself to God and say, okay, God, here you go, Christ, I am here, and I don't know what you're expecting of me. I know what I expect of me, and my hunch is that probably you don't expect that of me, and I need to get my expectations in order. I need to be present to this moment, not just like the people going into Anne's room, her hospital room, and who are already in the next moment or were living in the moment behind. I need to be in this moment. I need to be aware here in this moment so that I can find people who can walk with me through this moment. The author's right. I don't think the church does that very well. I think we come together and we have a community of people that we already know who, if we go to church together, we know that we can turn to them when there's a horrible moment or the diagnosis or a death or something, when we're feeling desperate, or even when we want to drink and we know that there are people there who know we're trying hard not to, that we could call and say, guess what? But what about the anonymity? What about walking into a church where you don't know anybody? What happens if you're visiting India and you're struggling and you need to have prayer, or you need to know that you're not alone? If I was traveling, would I feel comfortable going into a church? When I was in England, I went into lots of churches on my own, and not once did I feel like I was part of a community. Not once did I feel like people were around me. I could sit down and say, I need you to pray for me. I need you to pray with me. I simply need you to be beside me silently while I pray. I didn't experience that. I don't think I was looking for that. But looking back, I don't think I would have even thought that was possible. So it becomes a challenge for me as a bishop. How do I encourage my own churches, my own community, my own priests, my lay members of the congregations to open their doors and create an atmosphere that is palpable within those churches, that if an anonymous person was seeking help, comfort, prayer, they could come in and simply receive that. That we would be able to encourage them to be able to take the next step, do the next thing, be present in this moment, and not worry about the next. I know I needed that last week, and I couldn't find it. That's not saying anything about the churches that I was in or the communities I was with. It says more about me. And I know I need to work on that before I can work on it with my people. How about you? What is the next thing that you need to do? How are you going to be present in this moment so you can make the right decision for what's happening next? We are in the Easter season. And that is a glorious season to be in. But it does not mean that we somehow schizophrenically go from Good Friday to Easter Sunday and the world is perfect. No, it means that we have walked the journey from Good Friday, where we might feel like this, like the alcoholic looking for a meeting, and knowing that through the journey we will find the other side. We will find that meeting. That's the glory of Easter, that the meeting is there, but we still have to do the work of finding it. Just because Sunday happened, Easter happened, doesn't mean Easter's happening in our hearts. How do we find it? I think we find it by doing the next thing. Simply being present in this moment and saying, okay, what's the next step? What is the next right decision? Look for a meeting. Look for a prayer partner. Look for someone I can talk to, or simply find a place to be quiet and to pray to God. But it's about being in this moment and preparing for the next moment, not being 2 weeks ahead or 2 hours behind. I hope these words have helped you a little bit. I need to hold on to them myself. Have a glorious and beautiful day. Enjoy this Easter season, but remember, we only get the Easter season because we've had our Holy Week. Holy Week doesn't just disappear. We carry it with us, but we see it through the lens of Easter. Enjoy this first Easter week. God bless you, and I'll see you again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachel.